I became a celebrity in a sense, and talking.
Are the rules different for celebrities? Are celebrities allowed to insult women?
The rules are different, but certainly I never thought I would run for office. And many people, Howard Stern would interview me, and everybody would be having fun, and the women would be laughing.
Yeah. Well, but you're saying the same thing. I mean, you have mocked Megyn Kelly, you have mocked Carly Fiorina,
well,
and you are
I'm not a fan of Megyn Kelly. I mean, I'm allowed to say that.
That was Milwaukee conservative radio talk show host Charlie Sykes interviewing Donald Trump this morning, an interview that has gotten instantaneous national reaction because it is now a model of how to interview Donald Trump on live TV or radio.
I guess I'm surprised that there have not been more interviews. I mean, I thought I was direct with him. I didn't think it was that challenging. So the fact that people were surprised, like, wow, we've gotten this far with nobody challenging Donald Trump seriously? Are people afraid to take on Donald Trump? Are they afraid? What are they afraid of to be able to do this? So I think that, one would hope that this would encourage other people on radio and television. Look, the stakes are high. We're talking about the President of the United States. He should be able to answer some tough questions, and that's your job.
Joining us now from Janesville, Wisconsin, is MSNBC national reporter Tony Dokoupil, who interviewed Charlie Sykes this afternoon. And Tony, I was struck by Charlie's reaction there, that he was surprised that there haven't been more interviews like his with Donald Trump. I am too. And he was a little bit surprised that Donald Trump showed up for this interview, wasn't he?
Indeed he was. I mean, before we beat ourselves up too much for not challenging Donald Trump in the same way that Charlie Sykes did, we have to remember that Charlie did a one and done. That's the term of art here in the journalism world. He knew he had one shot at Donald Trump. He didn't even think he was going to get it because he assumed somebody from the Trump campaign would Google Charlie Sykes and see that for almost a year now, Charlie's been calling Trump a vulgar buffoon, saying that he needs to build a firewall here in Wisconsin to stop the Trump train as it moves through toward November, doing everything he can to block that man's nomination. He didn't think he was going to get the interview. He got it. He pushed it as much as he could. He started off very polite. Happy Easter. Congratulations on the new grandchild. But, oh, by the way, here in Wisconsin, we value civility and decorum and truth-telling, conservative principles, and we don't really think you have them. And then he calls him a bully. He reminds him multiple times that your answers remind me of a playground, not a campaign for the President of the United States. So Charlie Sykes, he took his opportunity. He knew it was going to be a one and done. He does not have to go back to Donald Trump ever again. People who are on the beat, people who work for our network, they have to keep that relationship going for a long, long time. Charlie did not have that burden, and as a result, he had the luxury of being incredibly blistering.
Well, I don't think the fact that you have to cover Donald Trump means that you then play softball with him so that you can guarantee he will speak to you another time. Once the mission of an interview is to get the next interview with the same person, we know how soft that interview is going to be. But Tony, Charlie said to you that he thinks Donald Trump has a talk radio problem within Wisconsin with the local radio talk show hosts.
Yeah, he did. And, Charlie was not playing this interview today to get a bump in Twitter followers or to get a bump in attention and maybe some more listeners. He was playing to win. He truly wants to stop Donald Trump. He thinks he's wrong for Wisconsin, wrong for the country. And he told me today, after the day had passed, the whole cycle of reaction had passed, he told me he thinks he won. He thinks Donald Trump will lose Wisconsin. And let me just explain to you why, because it's a pretty compelling argument. There are 3 counties around Wisconsin. They call them the WOW counties. These are some of the reddest and most active voting counties in America. We're talking about turnout rates like 79%, 83%, 84%. Donald Trump's negative rating in those counties, 3 out of 4 voters fail to see him positively. 2 out of 3 have an actively negative view of him. And that is in large part because people like Charlie Sykes